And we're live. Hello, we're back with TRS. Took a little break from TRS last week on Sunday, because I had a bit of a sore throat. Feeling better now. Might have caught a cold yesterday, but I don't appear to be in that bad of a condition, so we're doing this now. Let's, oh, that's loud. Alright. So, our first run of the day is going to be a Warborg survival run on Lunatic with Mercer Wolf. Very standard 1cc. Where is the game? There you go. If you take a look at the schedule, we actually do have a very high level score run at the very end of it. So we will see when we get around to that. The schedule might change around a little bit, depending on the availability of some other commentators. But this is what we're gonna go with for now. So the first run, normal skips. Comments say was half asleep on the runs before, and when I finally woke up, I got this run. So yeah, let's see how they do. This is Warborg survival, so it's going to be fairly standard, very straightforward. This is not Warborg. 1 second. Fuck. I may have forgotten to turn off the Tri-Ultra patch. Alright. Let's get into this. So, Warborg survival. For 1cc level, it's a very straightforward game. You're dealing with the hyper system at the bottom left corner of the screen. When you collect 3 or more animal tokens of the same type, so 3 otters, 3 wolves, or 3 eagles, you'll be able to trigger a special hyper. Otherwise, if you don't have that, then you'll just trigger what amounts to basically a border. But if you trigger a hyper, you'll receive, during the duration of the hyper, you'll receive a different shot for the wolf and eagle hypers, and you will get 3 otters circling around your character, like we see just now, for otter. Now, ooh, a death there. Now, this hyper system is extremely powerful if you use it correctly. Mercer Wolf is a shot type that naturally has a buffed focus shot. Mercer Eagle has a naturally buffed laser shot, unfocused shot, and Mercer Otter would not have a buff shot but would have longer order duration and a stronger bomb. Wolf is generally a very strong 1cc shot because, well, you're going to be staying focused for a lot of the boss fights, and the boss damage of Mercer Wolf is quite extraordinary. You deal a lot of damage. You're gonna go with an Eagle Hyper here, probably just out of, like, circumstance more than anything. Oh, almost got hit there. But you can see that Mercer Wolf's damage is really extraordinary. These enemies are very tanky. With any other shot type that's not like Yomu Slash, they do take quite a while to die, so the wolf missiles are nothing to laugh at. They deal a ridiculous amount of damage. And the wolf hyper, accordingly, deals even more damage than that. The problem with the wolf and eagle hypers is that they don't protect you from getting hit. If you get hit during the duration of a hyper, the hyper ends immediately and you effectively break the hyper in the same way that you break a border. You create a small bullet cancel around you, but outside of that, you don't get really anything out of it. And that can actually be a big problem for 1cc purposes, because if you let a hyper run out naturally, like right now, you see extra beasts appears, show up on top of the character, and then those tokens will spawn. 2 animal spirits will spawn after every hyper that finishes, And that can be very important in ensuring that you have enough tokens to consistently stay in hyper state. Oh, bad hit. To consistently stay in hyper state, for instance, for the purposes of a boss fight, for instance. If you don't have enough tokens running on screen and then you keep getting hit during your hypers, then you can very quickly start running out of tokens to trigger hypers with, and that can be quite bad depending on your route. In this case, doesn't look like they're that reliant on it, but at the same time they're also kind of low on resources, if I'm gonna be frank. They've made a couple of the game mistakes. Now, one thing that I don't believe they've received yet is that every single mid-boss in this game, of every single stage, has a secret token that they can spawn. We will see those used in the score run near the end of the stream, but there are special conditions that you have to fulfill in order to be able to spawn them. And once you spawn them, you can collect them and put them in your hypers. If you finish a hyper, if you let a hyper run out when it has one of these special tokens, then the hyper result will not spawn 2 animal tokens. Instead, they will spawn a preset bonus of 5 tokens. That is a huge bonus, naturally, and it can be essential in allowing you to get a lot of hypers and skip a lot of patterns. And in the purposes of scoring, it's necessary to replenish the amount of tokens that you have during a boss fight, so you can milk as much of the boss patterns as possible with all the hypers. For the purposes of a 1cc, it's not necessary that you go for them, but it's always beneficial if you know how to trigger them and you get them, because just finishing a hyper with a special token will grant you 1 life piece token. It will always spawn a fish token that always has a life piece in it, which, like the one that they just picked up. So you can get extra life pieces from this. If you don't get them, you can still get a lot of lives in this game, and under normal circumstances, spawning all 6 of the tokens will give you 2 extra lives. So it's not completely necessary, but some of them are not particularly difficult to trigger. Some of them are more difficult to trigger, and they're not really worth going for. But the ones in the early game, for instance, they're not that difficult. Acres is that you need to make sure you don't kill any of the spirit enemies that she spawns before killing her. That can be a little tricky, so it's understandable to skip that one. But with regard to... what's her name again? I always forget what the stage 2 boss name is, but their token is spawned by being close to... by shotgunning them, basically, when you shoot them down. Kotaka's token is spawned by having an auto hyper active when you shoot them down. And then Yachi's earlier is spawned by grazing a large enough amount of bullets when you shoot them down. It's a very vague requirement, but it's one that you can quite easily accomplish if you bomb the pattern and then move on top of the boss, but they didn't do that, so that's whatever. It's also not really a reliable or easy one to get, so it's understandable to skip that one. The one upcoming for Mayumi is simply having 4 or more tokens on screen when you shoot her down. And that just requires that you don't collect too many tokens in these sections. I don't know if they'll be going for that. Doesn't appear so. There's gonna be 2 tokens that spawn here, but... oh wait, no, not these ones. There should be 2 tokens that spawn during the spam section following this, so let's see whether they... never mind. Yeah, they're not going for it. I'm actually not sure if they even know of the existence of the secret tokens. Ah, well. Oh, look. A bot. Cute. Yeah, they don't. I don't know if they even know of the existence of the secret tokens, but again, it's whatever. You don't necessarily have to get them for the purposes of a 1cc run. It's more important anyway to just make sure that you don't die when you go for them. Or just make sure that you don't die in general, I guess. It's a survival run. So that section earlier is just a very long streaming section, but they started in the middle and then kinda screwed themselves by moving too quickly, so they cornered themselves, and then you can still recover by doing a quick restream, but they didn't do that, so they just bombed to get out of it. Understandable. Mercer Wolf's firepower should help in the Mayumi boss fight, as Mayumi's entire gimmick is that she spawns these Haniwas that will block damage and also fire bullets. Mercer Wolf can shoot those Haniwa down very easily, so it should not be much of a problem. But first, let's see how they do on these non-spells. Again, these hypers can do a lot of damage, but you need to make sure that you don't get hit. Thankfully, Mayumi non-spells are not really that difficult. Most of them are just about knowing a certain trick of not being too low on the screen. Oh, they didn't trigger a hyper here. But just having this neutral hyper, basically a border for safety, or I guess they're actively cancelling it here. That can also help give you a safety net. Alright, kill these fences off at the side. Kill it! They should have moved back to the right side to kill the Haniwa on the right, but that's alright. Alright, this is Mayumi's third non. It's a very tricky pattern, but in reality you just need to misdirect it to the side, and it becomes significantly easier, but they're actually just gonna do a hyper cancel to get through the second wave there. And then we have horse archers. Not much of a problem. Not enough tokens for the final, but that's alright. This is not a very challenging final either. Oh, didn't manage to dodge. Hyper here's a little bit wasted, but that's alright. Oh, I should have just picked up that token, honestly. It would have extended the hyper a little longer. Not that it's necessary. But why pick that one up? Whatever. They're also kind of making the mistake of moving up when the extra tokens spawn, so they can't really control what tokens they collect. Because the tokens that spawn after a hyper ends is random. Unless it's a special special token hype. Ah, what was that hit? That just suggests that they don't really know how to do the 6 section, which, oh well. Alright, good. This is how you're supposed to do this. Now the special token for that mid-boss is obtained by cancelling your hyper, either intentionally by pressing X or by running into a bullet right before you shoot the boss down. It's a little tricky to time. If you time it incorrectly, then you just broke a hyper without getting anything in return. So again, not knowing about them is fine. You don't need them to 1cc, but we're going to see that later during the score run. Very important on 6-6. The window is like half a second-ish, but if you're not very good at judging when you're gonna shoot a boss down, then it might be a bit tricky. Alright. I assume they want to go for a 5-wolf hyper right away. Wolf token. There we go. Alright. Keiki. First non-spell. The secret is to just misdirect to the side or not. Yeah, you can just do that as well. You just there's no gap in the middle, so you have to go to the side. Now square creature, get hit. They're fairly precise micros, so not that bad. Oh, this non-spell can be spinned. It's usually the safest strat to do that. Just grabbing a border for safety here. Circle creature. This is this spell is sort of static-ish. Oh no, the life piece! Bomb, yeah. If they don't drop the other life piece, they should be fine, but yeah. They could have gotten the extra life safety net right here. Not that it really matters. Keki's not such a difficult boss fight, and they've been bombing well. Let's see how they do on linear. Oh, they didn't get a Wolf Hyper. Oh, okay, yep, good recovery. It can be a bit difficult to recover quickly right after breaking a Hyper on that spell, because you get basically no warning before the laser spawn back in and your invincibility timer runs out. But again, no. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Idle creature, again, the firepower of Mercer Wolf should be able to take down these Horse Haniwa before they cause too many problems. Beyond which, it's wrong gap. Grabbing another Hyper for safety. Oni Shade creature, this is it's a static spell, so well, not that it matters. They've got enough resources here, so at this point they can just bomb through the rest of the game. And of course, this last frenzy rush of animal tokens helps you as well. You can just cancel, get the Hyper, cancel. Not gonna get a Hyper? Nah, bomb it, fine. Yeah, the game's over. This pattern is usually something that can be routed, but there we go. It doesn't have any bomb immunities, so you can just bomb it down. Well, there we go. That's the run. GG on the 1cc, congratulations, but well, most of the late game was just bombed through, which is, you know, that's just what modern Touhou tends to be. The Roblox is a game where the survival system is it's just there as a support. You don't necessarily need to be good at using it. They were adequate at using it, I'd say. It can help you a lot, but you know, the game just dumps enough resources on you that it's fairly straightforward clear regardless, as long as you don't waste too many bombs and too many lives in stupid places. So yeah, that's a very straightforward 1cc run. We're gonna move on to our next run of the day, and for the rest of the day, we only have high level runs. So we're gonna start off with a run that Gastari didn't do yesterday, I don't believe. This is Kalmin's run. Let me actually ping him and see whether he wants to join in. But while I update the run information, let's see whether he responds. Scarlet team. Around comments say this was an LNNFS attempt until it wasn't. So it's one of the runs that some of them like to like to submit for us to laugh at. But we will see how it goes. Oh, did I apply THPrac again? Yep. 1 second. I need to not do that because otherwise my iron speeds up at million FPS. Okay, let me show the game. Alright, he's in a call with someone else, so I don't think they'll be doing that. I think he's playing Twinkle Star Sprites right now, actually. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and watch the run regardless. But we'll be skipping the first 3 stages, so let's see. So, Iron LMB, this is a category that gives you a fairly large amount of lives to work with. But Kalmin is actually a LNN level player. They've already gotten Iron LNN before, they've gotten TD LNN as well, among others, and they are very familiar with this game. This is their main game, so let's see how well they do. Scarlet team is unfortunately not one that I've had a lot of experience with. Generally, I don't really like to play this team because of their movement speed. Remilia is a very fast character for a focused movement speed, and Sakuya is kind of pathetic. But Remilia is a strong shot, so this is a very popular team of choice. And this team's gimmick is that if you die with a bomb in stock, you get a bomb back, I believe. Not really useful. Yeah, this is a shot type that definitely needs some learning, but Cal has more than enough time in this game to know what to do with it. And that is a perfect Mischief fight. I don't expect them to die to this spell either. There we go. And then stage 3 is mostly just streaming, but if you know where to position Remilia's Familiars, then you can take advantage of this increased range on screen. I guess not really range, but spread. I forgot what the actual term is, but no, reach, that's it. You have extra reach thanks to the options, which it's a nice shot type gimmick that I wish would appear in more Touhou games, considering how effective it has been whenever it appears in, for instance, Morph Marisa C. Anyway, Kane is largely a patterned static boss, where a lot of the patterns you just learn how to do them and then you don't really have much problems doing them afterwards. Alright, and we're gonna head into stage 4 Uncanny, which is a Reimu boss fight instead of Marisa. If you played to stage 4 with either Border Team or Netherworld Team, you'll face Marisa. But if you play with either Magic Team or Scarlet Team, like here, you'll be facing Reimu. And generally speaking, Reimu is considered to be a more difficult boss fight, at least on Hard and Lunatic. And especially on Lunatic, Reimu is quite scary. Has a couple of very, very scary patterns. We'll see how he performs, but in the meantime, this stage section is largely just knowing where the enemies spawn from to speed kill them, and then from there making sure that you don't wall yourself while doing the streaming. Remedia's familiars deal a lot of damage, so you'll be able to take care of these fairies without much problems. Sakuya's damage in this game, unfortunately, is not very good. Very bad, actually. So she doesn't really serve much purpose in the stage sections other than as a spread shot to kill the small Mook fairies. But now we have the Reimu fight. Now, all of those magic circles bouncing around the screen, they're yin-yang orbs. If you unfocus, they'll be able to hit you. And one distinction that Carmine pointed out to me recently is actually that there are two types of familiars in Iron. There are red bordered familiars and blue bordered familiars. And it is only the red bordered familiars that can actually hit you when you're using a human character. Unfortunate hit, but that spell is rough. So yeah, all of these yin-yang orbs are actually red bordered familiars, so they can absolutely hit you the moment you unfocus. So you do want to stay in focus as much as possible. Especially since Sakuya's damage is so weak that you're not really able to kill off the yin-yang orbs quickly. Now this is another very spooky spell. Oh, that RNG! Yikes! Now, the second half of the stage section, before we move on to the rest of the Reimu boss fight, but yeah, Reimu is a very tricky boss fight for sure. And here we go. Starting off with another aimed non. This non-spell is thankfully very simple, so it's a little bit of a breather. But we're gonna move on to, I believe, Duplex Barrier? No, sorry, Dragon Slaying Circle. Spooky micros, but they're just fine. Nice. And then another aim non-spell. Okay. Yeah, they're staying mostly focused to make sure that the yin-yang orbs don't emerge, don't like become don't spawn their hitboxes, I guess. Alright, this spell is a bit weird. Basically, the amulets will aim twice towards you, and once they're purple, they'll aim towards you and then wander off. So you need to misdirect these in a specific way and then restream. But they know how to do that just fine. And then this final spell is Reimu fires bullets, and the bullets will basically teleport and change angle from the dark blue to the outer white rim. But the actual dodging of the spell is fairly straightforward. And there we go. Let's see if they capture Blink. This is a very infamous pattern, one of the most difficult in the game. RNG dependent. There are a limited number of patterns to this spell, but there's a lot of them. And you actually can't damage Reimu for the first like couple seconds of the spell, but it's not a timeout spell. You do actually have to shoot down Reimu in order to capture it. And whether or not you're actually able to do that... Okay, what the fuck? What the fuck? No. Yeah, no. No. Alright. Stage 5. Stage 5 is very straightforward. As long as you know where the enemies are spawning from and you speed kill them, there won't be any issues. And there we go. Now oh, wait, not yet. Well, Alright, well, that was just a dope hit. Okay. Oh, no. No! What the fuck? Alright, they're just memeing. That has to just be memeing. Anyway, Tay, no, it did desync. So, Tay is, a very standard, tough, mid-boss. The first known is quite difficult, but, Kyle actually says that he has a sort of a way of reading it. Alright, well, that is a safe spot. If you focus and you don't let the familiar hit you. Which again, red bordered familiar, so that can hit you. Wow, this run went to shit. I mean, he'll clear, no doubt. He's very good at the game, but that might have been the single worst stage 5 I've ever watched. No! What was that? Oh god. Oh my god, I've never seen that pattern. Alright. Well, after an absolute disaster of a stage 5, we move on to Raisin, who is thankfully one of the easiest bosses in the game. Much easier than Ryu, I'd say. A lot of the patterns are sort of just gimmick patterns, so once you know how to dodge them, you'll be just fine every single time. Like this one, for instance, where Familiar's being positioned right in the middle actually helps you damage her even more than with other shot types. This non-spell sometimes can give you a bit of a nasty wave. You can try to kill off some of the familiars to reduce the density, but not necessary. And you don't really have the ability to do that with Sakuya, so just speed kill it. Illusion Seeker. Just find a good gap, and then move down with it. This is actually quite tricky with Vermilia, thanks to her movement speed being so fast that it's difficult to synchronize your speed with the movement of the wave itself. What is this gap? Oh, okay. This clears, right? Mind Stopper is a spell where, depending on the strat that you do, you have to rush back up to make sure that these aimed bullets don't aim too far down. If not... Okay, yeah, that works too. Actually, this looks more consistent. Huh. So that's what he meant. Yeah, that's a good strat. I think I'll try to learn that. Final spell, Invisible Full Moon. Very simple spell. You just need to make sure you move to the right height, and then move down. Dodge one wave, and that's it. Rinse, repeat. And finally, Telemesmerism is a static pattern. Just memorize a route through this madness and you'll be fine. There we go. Final B. I don't know if they've really ever picked Final A, but they are very good at this. The first two fairies there can be a bit spooky, but Remilia is able to take care of both of them in short order, so that's no issue. And then we have this RNG bullshit section. It's not really a problem for a survival run, you don't care, really, and the pattern they shoot is just aimed. But on a score run, you are very much caring about their spawning position, because that can affect how fast and whether you're even able to collect all of the items on them. And they're in mid boss. This is starting off with a non-spell that's a little bit tricky. You have to read these crisscrosses very quickly. And then pick the right gap. Nice. They're doing these exaggerated movements to do restreams as well. And then Galaxy in a pot. If you just stick to the bottom of the screen, half of the pattern despawns itself. Move up on this wave. Move down, and the spell's dead. There we go. Very nice. Let's see how they do on Kaguya. They have one life to do this, so they're allowed one miss somewhere. Starting off is Brilliant Dragon Bullet. Very bullshit pattern, but Kao actually says that he's confident on this spell, that he's done this enough times that he has a specific strategy and reading pattern for it that makes it not that uncomfortable for him. So yeah, there we go, very confidently dodged there. Second non-spell gets easier if you misdirect it into a corner. Either the top left or top right corner will work. And Buddhist Diamond, the second RNG pattern. The laser RNG can be very nasty, and the star RNG can be very nasty, and then you have to deal with this aimed lane of arrowheads as well, that sometimes will wall you in. Like that. Okay, that was not nice, but good capture. Then the third non is a bubble non spell. Same with this Erin. Kinda difficult to read the gaps because there's so much visual clutter on the screen, but the bubbles don't have very big hitboxes, so once you're aware of that fact, it becomes a little less spooky. Salamander Shield, it looks like they're going to be doing the vertical strat here, where you only do vertical movements in order to misdirect and stream these fired off lasers, loose lasers, and the straight lasers as well. Well, Kyle, your run is certainly a run of all time. A run of time, as Chris might say. Jelly Bean non-spell. The Jelly Beans here are random. Whoa! And then Light Spring Infinity. The lasers on this spell actually spawn their hitboxes in very late, so you have a lot of leniency on the lasers if you get a bad gap and you have to move a lot. But it's still very spooky. Nicely done. Final. Jewel Branch of Horai. This is a pattern which the colored bullets that Kaguya fires out are static, whereas these pellets are aimed, obviously. But the timing that they fire off is static as well. As such, you can memorize a strategy where you perform dashes under specific colors of bullets in order to open up a gap and allow yourself to restream this easily. There are two general schools of thoughts for this. Either a 5 restream strategy or a 7 restream strategy. This appears to be the 7 restream version. Okay, that's a bit spooky! Eee, I don't like that. But very nicely done. Let's see how many lost spells they capture. Again, they're an LNN level player, so they're absolutely able to do all of this. First lost spell is just a simple streaming one. What is this strat? Second last spell. There's a way to read this, and once you read it, you can find a gap where none of the bullets will hit you, but you do have to reposition because of this aim bubble every wave. Nicely done. Third last spell, crisscrossing. But you actually just need to read one of these waves as they move and then move through the gap confidently. Nicely done. Fourth last spell. These lanes are, I believe, static, but the bubbles are aimed. You can just memorize a route for this and slowly stream from one side of the screen to the other. There we go. And the final last spell, Rising World. Completely random, can give you nice waves, can give you very nasty waves. The most difficult part of the pattern is the overlap between the final wave and the wave before it. Let's see how this goes. Alright, purple talismans, and this final barrage. Nice transition. Oh! Nicely done. Very nicely done. I mean, you are very clearly, like, at an LNN level, but those were some very stupid deaths that you did. Hang on. Where was the first miss again? Was it on Reimu? It was on Reimu's first spell, right? And then after that, a couple of Reimu misses followed by an absolute disaster stage 5. Fucked around too much. Yeah. I don't know what you were trying to do, like safe spotting one of the fairies on stage 5 or something, but yeah, well, I guess GG. You picked a hell of a run to submit. And Chris says that Kyle just beat him in TSS and it took him a full hour. Well, good job on that. You told Chad that you'd submit this run if it got 66 LNNFS and it did. Nice. Alright, what's next on the schedule? It is UFO Extra No Miss No Bomb. Alright, let's do that. Give me a second to update the run info. Wait, hang on. No. This isn't... Ah, well, I appear to have miswritten the run information because this is not an extra and no miss no bomb. This is a spell practice replay. Now obviously UFO doesn't natively have spell practice, so this is obviously TH prac. But I have a feeling I know exactly which spell this is talking about because it would take the run comments just say 4,387 plus minus 5 attempts. There's only one spell in UFO Extra that will take this many attempts, and there's only one thing that you can really do with it to make it this difficult. So, let's see how they do on that spell. Alright. Grudge Bow, Rage Phase. This is one of the most difficult things in Touhou that you can do. So Grudge Bow is a New Age final spell in UFO Extra. Now, if you just want to capture it, it's not that bad. It's considerably more difficult than the rest of the boss fight, yes, but it's still not that difficult of a spell card. But like most extra spells, it does have a hidden rage phase. We will call it timeout phase previously, where if you let that spell time down to the last couple seconds, I believe last 15 seconds or so, it gets significantly more difficult, and that is what we just saw. That capture was basically the spell starting off right from the beginning in that rage phase, thanks to an option in TH prac, and you have to just shoot it down to capture it like that. And that is not my cap rate on it. Let's watch it again with that background in mind. This is just a very fast random dodging spell. You have to read quite far ahead of time, and you have to react to some very nasty dodges. Reimu A, obviously the best pick for it because smallest hitbox and high boss DPS, but it is an insanely difficult pattern. It takes a lot of time to learn how to do it well, and then from there you have to just grind for for capturing it even. The difficulty is multifold. Obviously you have to read the pattern, you have to read the overlaps, and then you have to perform the movement. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, that is what they submitted. And this is after 4,000 attempts. Again, 4,387 plus minus 5 attempts. So, congratulations, you got Grudge Bow Rage Phase Fractures. Now, I believe that there has been like, what, 1 or 2 people who did a Rage Phase timeout of this, which is even more ridiculous. But it's really just one of the hardest patterns, especially coming from an extra stage pattern. There are a couple extra stage patterns where the timeout phase is like ridiculous. This is one of them. Some of the other ones. Obviously the one, the most infamous one would be Border of Life and Death timeout phase, which is not possible. One of the biggest memes in the community back in the day was somebody faking and claiming to have done it legitimately. But that was a long time ago now. QED, I'm not sure. I don't remember that, but yeah, There's just a couple of timeout phases like this which are just stupid. So yeah, good job on that. Oh yeah, that actually reminds me. I believe I've said this a few times in several places, but I'll just say it again here. One of the challenges that we wanted to put on the TWC bingo for the show match last year was Wabok extra final timeout phase capture with Yomu Eagle. We nerfed that to just capturing it with any shot type because it was stupid. It was really stupid. And to this day, I still haven't seen anyone attempt seriously and perform the challenge because it's actually much more difficult than you would think. So, if any of you are maybe interested in checking out that challenge, then feel free to do so. Check out the Wabok Extras final, Saki's final, and try to capture it with Yomu Eagle, and you should see very immediately what problem it is, how much of a problem it is. Obviously, Rage Face capture. Timing out is probably a bit easier because you can actually focus like that. Alright, so that was a quick run. I wasn't expecting, I mean, again, I misread the run, but it's just a single spell practice submission. So we're gonna move on to the next one, and we have a very long score run at the end of the show anyway, so makes up for it, I guess. Our next run of the day is going to be Morph Lunatic No Bomb with Reimu A. Let me update the run info. Yeah, the main problem with that challenge is that you are playing Yomu Eagle, so you're not really dealing any damage unless you unfocus. But then the final in its rage phase is actually a very dense pattern that can be difficult to read, and especially unfocused can be very difficult to micro. So yeah, capping it with Yomu Eagle is actually a very, very big challenge. Alright, let's check the run information for this. The comments just say panic dodging in the late game. Well, let's see how panicked it is. They're using Reimu A, which is a bit of an unusual shot type for Morph LMB. The usual choice is Reimu B because it's a forward focus shot with a lot of damage. Reimu A is the homing shot type. Generally speaking, it's a bit of a noob trap shot type. Not very into visibility. Its damage is very bad on boss fights, but it does make the stage sections a bit easier for what that's worth. Alright, we'll do the usual skips. Wait, actually, let me check. Let me just check. Yeah, default skips. Alright. Reimu A has very bad spells, yes. Because her damage on bosses is so poor, you will be spending extra seconds on pretty much every boss pattern. Some of these patterns get significantly worse because of this. It actually isn't just the late game. It happens in the early game as well, and it happens as early as this. Having to do extra waves of this can subject you to more chances of RNG. Bullshit, what are these? Alright, well... But that's just the start of it. The fun continues on Hina, as Hina also has a couple patterns which get significantly worse if you let them fire off for too long. Indeed, Hina Final is absurd. Where you have to deal with a lot of waves where the needles are completely disorganized. Most of the Hina fight is still fine. Excuse me? Anyway, yeah, here, Hina Final. With Reimu B, you can speed kill this fairly quickly before it gets too bullshit, but with Reimu A, well, you can't do that, so... Eesh! Oh god! Pushed into the corner! Oh! Nice dodge! Alright, now stage 3 itself is not particularly remarkable, apart from maybe the final, so we'll go see that. Avi, are you really gonna try doing that? Yeah, at least she has homing, so she can kill in the corner, but obviously the problem is even letting the pattern develop at that stage to begin with. Yeah, I don't know if anyone is doing that Yomu Eagle capture anytime soon. Also, I accidentally skipped right past the Sapphalic Plate, but you know, whatever. It seemed fine. So, Rainbow on stage 4. I think she gets an easier waterfall section, but outside of that, you have much bigger problems. Her first spell and even second spell on Aya take much longer, so you're subject to more waves of RNG, and that can end up being very bad. And obviously Momiji is also going to take longer, so those are all problems. Yeah, there are... I mean, Reimu A is like one of the lowest damage shot types in the game. Reimu C would be worse from afar, but on Aya's first spell you can actually be close to shotgunning, so not relevant. Final stage portion. No. Not really. What the fuck? I have never seen anyone dodge it that way. What the fuck? What the fuck was that? Holy shit. Ah! Well, I guess the spam can be a bit nasty sometimes. Very unfortunate that's there, but that waterfall was not the standard strat at all. I'm in shock. I didn't think anyone would dodge it that way, but holy crap. Alright, Aya. Aya is a problem boss fight for the mentions we explained earlier. So, let's see. So, yeah, this first spell. With Reimu B, you would have already speed killed it, but you have to deal with a couple extra waves because of Reimu A, and oh my god, that was a wall! Okay. Killed it just in time. Alright, second spell, also very nasty, because your damage is weaker, so you have to deal with more waves, and that gives you more chances of getting bad overlaps. Oh, tough spell, understandable. Yeah, the final crow section is generally not very difficult to begin with, so it's not really a challenge. Obviously easier when you have short types with a lot of spread, like Reimu A, Reimu C, and Mercer C. Ooh, a bit of a spooky third non, but Let's see if they do well on PWG. This spell is obviously unchanged no matter the shot type. Well, okay, Marisa's difficult, but... Nice, nice. Is this gonna be a cap? Unfortunate. Oh, this is... 4 miss. That's rough. 1 miss on stage 2, 3 misses on stage 4. Morph. I mean, when you're playing Reimu, a Morph can be very unforgiving like that. Let's just see how well they perform on the rest of the game. For LMB, this is still decent pace, I'd say. Kanako is going to be the big problem. Sanai is still not really that difficult. Though, again, Reimu A, you might have to deal with a bit more waves of Moses, I guess, which could be tough. Yeah, this game has an easy stage 5, that's definitely. Much of the entire stage can pretty much be learned. Many Sanai's spells are many Sanai patterns are static or just learnable. Yeah, I guess the homing can help on noses. "70 seconds, half HP. Ah! Oh god! Okay, well... they walled themselves, but they managed to dodge through the wall anyway, so whatever. You're not supposed to go there, by the way, so... Lucky save. Anyway, that non-spell earlier, the opening is static, so you just do the same dodges every time, and then this spell is static as well, so... they'll do just fine. Yeah, Gorilla emote is appropriate. Homing will take a while, but it's if you're in the corner, the spell's not that dense anyway. Homing Reimu having problems killing these fairies. Alright, we're approaching the end of the stage, which means Sanai boss fight is coming up soon, and I'm just reminded that Sanai's first non is RNG and might wall you. Let's see if it happens. I don't think it'll happen, honestly. It's a bit... on Lunatic, it's a bit difficult to get a wall. It can happen, definitely, but the RNG is a little nicer than it is on hard mode. Almost a wall. Almost a wall. Very nice dodge there. But moving on, first spell is static plus aimed. You just need to memorize about 2 spots to go in between and you'll be fine. Go. Second non-spell is very straightforward, just make the same dodges. And then Moses. So, wow! Oh, that is some pretty horrific RNG, holy shit. I don't think I've seen a Moses that started out worse. That wasn't so much attempted of a strat as went into the gap trying to like open up a restream the next wave, and then the next wave didn't let him through, and then the third wave just walled him in, so yeah. Um, well, it's alright. The rest of the fight is alright. Quite simple. But this has been a very spooky LMV so far. A lot of very nasty RNG pretty much everywhere. My god. 3 lives for stage 6. Doable, definitely. But again, Reimu A Kanako takes a long time on some patterns, so things could get nasty quite quickly. I mean final? Alright, so Reimu A does have a fairly simple stage 6 thanks to having the homing. So she can actually start from the middle of the screen instead of the side, and that gives you an easier transition into this Death Fairy. So that is an advantage, a considerable one. But we're going to the boss fight now. First non-spell, at LMV level, players are somewhat able to read this, I'd say. Personally, I still can't really do this. And Reimu A will take a bit longer on it, but they did it just fine. On Bashira, bit of a meme pattern. Should be very easy usually, but obviously the homing helps damage Kanako even when she decides to run away. They're doing just fine. Alright, second non is a very simple left-right tapping at the bottom of this. Huh? Okay, I mean it works, but why? Whatever. Divining crop, micro pattern. The the rice bullets have the hitboxes of the jelly bean, so it's deceptively large. Unfortunately, got hit there. Third non-spell is patterned. They got what? Alright, well... okay, just move through 3 walls. Yamato Taurus is a full RNG pattern. Looks like the RNG is for once being nice here. Final non-spell. Cycles through 3 different patterns. The first one is aimed, the second one is aimed as well as... Actually, yeah, it's just aimed. And then the final one is sort of just pattern. You just read these lanes and then you dodge. I don't know what to make of this run. I mean, they're very good at making panic dodges, I'll give them that. There's been like, what, 3 panic dodges this run that have phased through walls? The waterfall section, some random place on stage 5, and then this. But... Alright, Source of Rains. This is another spell where the hitbox is deceptive. The hitboxes of the fireballs are unchanged when they change it to these rice bullets and arrowheads. Reimu A can actually damage Kanako while doing all of this movement, so it's a bit of help. I wouldn't really say advantage, it just helps. But they're doing just fine. Looks like the RNG isn't too mean this time. Very nice. And finally, VOWG. 2 lives of your WG is... Okay, well, if you waste 1 like that... Alright, the hard part of your WG starts now. Nice micros. Ah, it should die. Yeah, there we go. What a run! What a run! GG. Rainbow ALMB is already an unconventional shot type. That has a lot of pain points. And your strats were insane, but like just stupid sometimes. And the dodges that you did on a lot of walls was just ridiculous, so... Good job! I don't know what to say. That was... I'm still in shock just from the numerous meme dodges throughout that run, and some of the strats just I don't know what to make of them. Oh, right. Let's just move on to the extra stage. Our next run is going to be a low K extra no miss no bomb full spell with Reimu. Give me a second. Oh, I'm dizzy. I feel dizzy. Alright. The run comments for this one just says lunatic impact part was funny. Alright. And yes, FS is full spell. Let's just make sure that, yeah, okay, the shaders are off. If you're wondering, the background that I'm using on the stream right now is Low-K Tri-Ultra Pristine Lunacy with shaders. So, yeah. Thankfully the shaders are off already. I made sure I turned them off before the stream. Yep. Alright, I'm gonna start the stage, and then I'll go grab some water. My throat hurts. Be right back. This is not Tri-Ultra, is it? Hang on. Yeah, it is. Oops. Well, good thing I stayed. Alright, again, be right back. Alright, I'm back. So, Loki Extra has a few tweaks to the resource systems, namely 5 life pieces instead of 3. But other than that, nothing that's relevant for this run anyway, because it's going to be a no miss no bomb anyway, so we don't care about resources. Though they are doing the slow grace for no reason. Are they really going to get 200 grace on this? They are. Well, whatever. Okay. I mean, it's doable, definitely. The rainbow lanes are static. But why? So, yeah, anyway, this is a stage section that generally is, not too difficult. Recycles a bunch of stage, patterns from some of the other stages, sometimes, but at the very end of the stage there are 3 death fairies that spawn with increasing density, that spawn a bunch of curvy jelly beans, which can be kinda difficult to dodge. So it's possible to safe spot that. We'll see whether they safe spot it. Yeah, the stage takes a really long time. This is a stage that actually lets the music loop, which is a bit unusual. Safe spots for Grace, maybe. Alright, easy 200 here. And they're setting up the safe spot. They got it! Nice! So yeah, if you align yourself correctly, you can actually sit right between the bullets that spawn in and the fairies' hurt boxes. Now, this is pretty much only possible because the bullets, every bullet in the game takes a little while to spawn in, and while they're spawning in, they use a bullet cloud visual effect, which actually doesn't have a hitbox. So yeah, there we go. Alright, Hakatia. Hakatia is widely regarded as the most difficult extra boss fight, for good reason. These are the most difficult extra boss patterns, barring anomalies like the Grudge Bow that we saw earlier. But for a clear, this is definitely a big problem, if you're not using Raisin. Now, Hakatia's non-spells all follow a general theme, switching between 3 types of Otherworld and the spells theming as well, I suppose. So this is the Otherworld theming. Thankfully the spell cards are more gimmick than anything else. There are a couple of difficult patterns, but most of the spell cards tend to be more gimmick than actual difficulty, thankfully. The real difficulty comes in the non-spells, however. Because these non-spells can get very dense, and worst of all, Hakatia's movement range on some of these non-spells is Unbound. Usually, in Touhou games, the bosses have a set amount of space on the screen that they can move around in. They will move randomly usually, but the area of which they can move is preset, and it's usually fairly high on the screen. Recently, Zun seems to have forgotten to implement some of them, especially on Hakatia. So some of these non-spells has Hakatia potentially moving really fucking far down the screen. In fact, there are tasks that allow Hakatia to move so far down off screen that the bullets just don't spawn in anymore. And obviously, the lower the bullets spawn, the more tight the gaps are going to become. So let's see how bad the RNG, if they get lucky. Because if Hakata decides to move down too much, then no matter what you do, you're gonna be dealing with some absurdly tight waves. And yes, the Unbound also means that she can go far off the top of the screen, which is helpful, but not as common. Yes, it will make the nonce easier, obviously. Anyway, a polar reflection mirror here, fairly straightforward, just reading the lasers from directions. And Junko's gonna switch in and use a non-spell from Lunatic. I don't know why this is a thing. Now, unfortunately, Junko's spell cards are both just jokes. This is pure streaming. I did not intend to make the pure pun. Alright, here we go. Well, the non-spell meme. Oh, she's far down. Okay, she moved back up. Alright, the orange is being nice. So the gaps aren't awful. Should kill before having to dodge this wave. That's right. Not too bad. Following which, Hell's non-ideal Danmaku is a weird pattern, but really is just static. Actually, I'm not sure if this is static, but the way the bullets move is predetermined, so the moment you learn how to dodge this pattern, you already know how to do it. For, like, permanently. It's static? Okay. Alright, we're switching over to Earth again, and once again another Earth non. One of these very difficult micro non-spells, where if she moves too far down it can also get very stupid. But, looks nice. Alright, nicely done. And then this spell, the fireballs emerge from the bottom of the screen, move upwards, and then when they hit the top they spawn lasers that move downwards. Not very difficult. You're not really able to DPS Hakatia that much, but you can just stay at the side here. Alright, now we move on to the Moon Non, and these Moon Nons always end up being about a lot of macro dodging and moving through lanes. Pretty much no different from the earlier one. Nicely done. And now the most difficult spell card of the entire fight, Lunatic Impact. These moons will will aim and move towards you and then crash into the side of the screen before repeating. When they crash into the side of the screen, they will spawn one row of stars at the top that will fall at random speeds and angles. What you want to do is you want to bunch the 3 moons together as quickly as you can, allowing them to smash at the side of the screen at a consistent, roughly at the same timing, which gives you the most amount of time to then manipulate their movements, basically separating the time in which you have to dodge the stars and the time in which you have to misdirect the moons. But, nicely done. And then we have another Lunatic Junko on. No, seriously, why did he do this? Alright, this is not as trivial of a spell card as a lot of people seem to think. The purpose of the Mentors on this spell is to show the rough hitbox of the orbs. Now the thing is, the hitbox is not that of the Mentors itself, it's the hitbox of the orb. And the Mentors make up pretty much the entirety of it. So you actually have to dodge the entire Mentor sprite pretty much. It's very scary if you get bad RNG and she's too far to the middle. Obviously Reimu helps, small hitbox. So yeah, nicely done. Survival here is fairly straightforward. We start off with these blue star rings, and then move on to the green phase, where these rings will start spawning from your position. Yeah, Junko just shows up at the end of the pattern. The final red ring section has these bullet triangles spawning around the middle of the screen, circling around the middle of the screen. Now, the funny thing is, that Junko jump scare that you're talking about, the circling of these red triangles is actually circling around Junko. In the Trial Trap patch that In's made, Junko is off-centered, and as a result the red triangles are also off-centered, circling off-centered, so that's a funny thing. But anyway, the final spell here, looks like they're actually gonna shoot down Junko instead of Hakatia here. You can kill this pattern by shooting either of them down, but shooting one of them will cause their phase to advance and cause that particular boss to shoot a tougher pattern. Depending on who you ask, different people will say that shooting the different boss down is more difficult. Hakatia will fire increasingly complex kunai patterns, whereas Junko is just gonna fire more frequently these rings. But there we go, nicely done. And that is a fairly clean EXNN. Not too much rough RNG, but still very well done regardless. Alright, GG's. 0 of 100 on Saki final. Sheesh. Alright, our next run before we end off the stream, with the score run is Syphis, Lunatic, No Bomb, No Release with Rainbow Winter. Give me a second, I'll update the run info. Alright. The run information says popped off. Okay. Let me reduce the volume of surface a little bit. Alright. We'll be doing the usual skips, so let's see. So, Syphis No Bomb No Release run. This game's No Bomb No Release means that you're not getting any PIV. So the amount of extends that you can get is limited. You can get the 150 million extend. I don't know about 250, maybe. But 501 bill is definitely out of reach. Rainbow Winter is one of the meta shot types for it. You can use the Winter Sub-Shot's very powerful laser, which actually adds considerable DPS, and Rainbow's homing is very helpful on the stage sections and actually doesn't suck at boss damage either. One of the rare times where Rainbow's homing is actually very good in the game. Winter also means that you'll be facing the Winter Final, which means that it's not really too out of line of a final spell compared to the Spring and Summer Finals, which are hell, and considering that the Spring and Summer shot swords are also the ones that suck, Winter and Fall are generally the preferred NBNR shot types. And for the first 3 stages, fairly straightforward. Let's see how they do for the rest of the game. Move down here. Yep, and then move to the left. And that's the opening completed. Following which we have a bit of a streaming section. Slowly stream down. Then to the right. Up, do a restream. And move up, and that's done. Nice. Speed kill these rice fairies, I guess, before they get to fire off too many waves. These ones as well. Then the third wave will start from the left side, so there's no need to move to the right. Quickly. And we have the mid boss, which is a static pattern, and as such, one of the most common strats developed is to stand at a particular height and then just tap down. And up. No, down is stage 5. Yep. Nicely done. And then the post mid boss section is just a bunch of fairly simple fairies. Then we have a bunch of fairy formations. Ooh, looked a bit spooky at the end there, but that's alright. The final part of the stage is the tricky one. But the general strategy is to basically stream... that's unfortunate. The general strategy is to stream the 2 aimed waves and then move back down to the left side of the screen. Oh well, 1 miss there is perfectly acceptable, and you have a fair amount of life to go around anyway. Alright, Narumi. So all of Narumi's non-spells can be safe spotted by sitting on top of her below the bullet spawn point, but not necessary, which but it also means that the first spell's safe spot is out of the question. There is a consistent safe spot that can be set up if you perform the safe spot on the first non-spell and you align yourself to the HUD before the spell begins. But it's not completely necessary if you're confident in dodging those random bullets. We move into the second non-spell, and the following non-spells, unless you're scoring, the safe spot is really not necessary and is actually quite risky considering the random movement of the bosses. Pet Golem. This spell you sort of like have to develop a route for dodging it, and then following which it can be fairly consistent. Nice. Third non's not too much of an issue. Oh, she's moving quite far down, but you can move into a corner. That's fine. And then the final, a bit random, but oh, yikes! Nasty wave. All right, that's okay. 2 miss stage 4 is perfectly fine. Let's see how the stage 5 goes. Stage 5 stage section gets helped a lot by Reimu's homing properties. But the Dancer's boss fight has 2 problematic patterns at the end of it. Not much to say here, this is just an aim section. And then moving down to the bottom right corner, that's safe. In this section, the bullets are random barrage, but they're roughly aimed in your direction, so you can't like misdirect them. And we have the mid boss, which once again, there's a strat where you can just tap down like this, and you'll let all the bullets dodge you. Then the post mid boss section. Some people will actually prefer to time down the mid-non a little longer to skip that laser section completely. But this is fine. And then the final stage section, once again helped tremendously by the homing properties. And there we go. Mai and Satono. The non-spells, they fire off their own pattern, and their timing desyncs gradually over time. Depending on which dancer you shoot down, you'll be facing their spell for the first 2 spell cards. It It's entirely preference for the first spell, which one people pick, but my first spell is the one that seems to be more popular. And the second spell, Saturnus is a significantly easier pattern, as my pattern on the second spell is a random mess. Whereas Saturnus is a simple streaming pattern. And after this third non-spell, we enter one of the biggest dice rolls in the game, Behind Festival, which combines both of the sisters' second spell card. So we will see those aimed back amulets from the previous spell, but we'll also see the random mess of stars that we would have seen from my second spell. These stars' movements are pretty unpredictable, so the only thing that we can really do is to just try to move as far away from them as possible. This is very nice movement so far. Okay, what was that? Nice! And finally, Tengu Odoshi. The final spell, you can choose which side you want to be under. If you're under the left side, you'll be dealing with slightly more awkward laser angles. Well, one miss? Yeah, one miss on stage 5 is very good. Alright, stage 6 should not be too much of an issue, the stage section. With a weaker shot type, well, notably Reimu's Spring, really, you have so much trouble with killing these yin-yangs that they end up spawning a lot of bullets on the screen, and it becomes equivalent to PCB stage 6 spam. But a strong shot type like Reimu Winter has no problems killing them off, so no issue there. And then these 5 sets of 5 Death Fairies, which are not too difficult to deal with. Why dash to get that one in particular? Oh well, doesn't matter. And with that, we now enter a casino boss fight, Okina. First non-spell is a little spooky, can get a bit tight sometimes if you're not confident with these dodges. But the first spell is a actual coin flip on whether it's going to be really difficult or not too difficult. Let's see which it is. Fuck. Oh, okay, nice dodging. If she moves right on that first spell, it becomes considerably more difficult as the overlaps become much more awkward. If she moves left, it's easier. This is another casino spell. The fireballs are very random. Okay, nice read. Very nice read. But yeah, that previous spell can absolutely wall you sometimes, and sometimes gives you a very difficult to read wave and even micro, so that was a very nicely done capture. Fall spell, thankfully not too difficult. Combination of streaming and random dodging from below, but it's not so dense that it's much of a problem, especially not for Reimu, as she can actually damage Kokina quite decently from anywhere on the screen. And Snowman, another casino spell, very random. Gives you random walls. Eee, what the fuck? What the fuck? Okay, that's a clump. Alright, so what generally people like to do on Snowman is they like to aggressively move up as much as possible, because there are a lot of walls on this spell that form the further down the bullets move, so maybe being a little more aggressive would be nicer, but that's a very unfortunate second hit, and okay, well, it should still be fine. There's not too many challenging patterns left. Well, I should say, the remaining patterns are not so challenging, so 4 lives is much more than enough for the rest of the game. But it's unfortunate. Oh, that's a rough wave. Generally, one of the more common strats is to actually move into the top left or top right corner to dodge the random spam before moving down quickly before Okina fires off the next wave of bullets. Being that low subjects you to some very rough RNG. But the final here, Hidden Extreme Winter. Very dense spell, not to be underestimated by any means. Yes, Okina will set you to 0 power at the beginning of all of the final spells. And you will never get that power back. You have to just use your main shot to shoot Okina down, and she has bomb immunity. And also your release gauge is drained constantly, so you're not able to get any releases off. This is a killer final, and on top of that, these finals are all very overtuned. Again, even though this is considered one of the easier final spells, it's not to be underestimated. It's a very dense pattern. And there we go. 4 remaining lives. A very nicely done clear. Yeah, GG. Unfortunate RNG on some of the parts, but other than that, just clean execution, and some very good dodges as well. 6 miss? 1 miss stage 4, 1 miss stage 5, no, 2 miss stage 4, 1 miss stage 5, right? Something like that, yeah. So yeah, well done. And hello Rebot, you're just in time.
Oh.
We
I saw the end of the run. Nice.
yeah. We are finishing off this stream with one hell of a bang. Myeonkichi has been playing with box scoring for how many years now?
I don't know, honestly. I don't want to say since release because I'm not sure about that, but at least 3 years, I'd say.
Yeah, it's a long time, and they have been they've gotten so good at the game that they have actually set the overall world record for Mercer Order for this lunatic category just quite recently.
It's been a month, I think it's been by now. It was a pretty big deal. There are new routes, different strategies. So there is a bit that I can say about the run, so I'll do my best.
Yeah. Are you gonna watch along a replay, or do you want me to screen share?
I'd rather use a screen share if it doesn't like.
That's fine.
Connection.
No, I've got a very good connection.
Okay, perfect.
Alright, let me show the run on stream as well. So yeah, this is a... before this, the overall world record was, if you remember, set by Borealis during TWC 2021. At the very end of his match. It's not been overcome for a long time since, but now it has. Oh wait, hang on. I don't.
Do you have counter stop patch on?
I need to check if I can. No, I don't think I do. Is there an option in THPack to? No. Can you send it to me?
No. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's just the .exe, right?
Yeah. Should be.
Hopefully just the .exe. Give me a second. There, hopefully it's just the .exe.
Alright. Okay. Yeah, that should be it. I do remember something like this. Okay. Looks like then.
Yeah, I mean, internally the game still tracks the score. Even the replays are capable of showing a score. Like when you select the replay before you start the actual replay, it can showcase a score higher than counter stop. It's just that Zune doesn't allow it to go.
I'm sorry, I just killed all of your ears. My default volume is extremely loud. Sorry about that. On brand of Young2 streams.
For real though.
Yeah.
So for example, Myungkichi didn't play with the counter stop patch, so the replay says 99999. But no, if you were to play with the counter stop patch, it would showcase the full score. But yeah.
Yeah.
Start run.
But this will basically hide the actual score until we see it at the very end of the run. If you haven't seen the final score before, I guess. So yeah.
Just placing, if I remember correctly, this was the old score, the old PD, so let me see.
Yeah, keep that in mind. That's 11.987 billion. And you can watch that entire run. You can watch that entire run just by looking at the TWC 2021 VOD, which I still can't believe that happened, but yeah. Alright, shall we get into it?
Yeah.
Alright, let's go. So...
Not many things to say in the first 3 stages. Like the main thing in stage 1 is Myungkichi actually uses bombs in the stage portion instead of the boss fight.
Sorry, I'm a fucking idiot. Give me a second.
Yo, what?
I forgot to set the game capture. The game on my screen is covering OBS's capture completely, so I can't even see it myself. But yeah, give me a second. Why is it not showing?
Yeah, it's not
what
a problem because
the fuck.
Goofy ass Wubaok.
Ah, God.
Counter stop patch is occasionally weird.
Yeah.
With OBS is.
Fucking hell! Give me a second. I'll just. Okay, great. I guess copy the transform. I had to make a new window capture for this. Wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah, there we go. That should work. Fuck. Right. We'll restart.
Anyways, what I was saying, unlike the previous world record, in stage 1, Myungkichi bombs the stage portion twice. It loses score on Eika because Myungkichi doesn't bomb non-spells. However, it makes the stage overall easier and less annoying, and we currently don't care about stage 1 optimizations, so Myungkichi I'd rather skip it, basically make it easier, whatever stage 1.
Alright, give me a second, I'll increase the call volume. That should be better now. But yeah, I guess because there's not much to talk about, otherwise we'll explain the scoring system. For those of you in the stream who aren't really aware of how Overwatch scoring works. The first thing is that the entirety of the scoring system revolves around the hyper system. At the bottom of the screen you can see a bar of 5 tokens. When 5 tokens are filled up, you'll get a hyper. And if you get 3 or more of the same animal tokens, and notably it'll be all orders in this run, then you'll trigger a animal hyper. In this case, an order hyper will spawn 3 orders that circle around the player character, and they cancel bullets. This is important because cancel bullets give PIV. And we will see this PIV gain be very, very extreme in this game. The PIV should max out by stage 4.
Yep.
And basically they're going to be wanting to stay in this hyper state for as much as possible during the boss fights and during some parts of the stage sections as well. Now when they're shooting... sorry, go ahead.
The idea is that in the game you have a limited amount of tokens in the stage, so you have a limited amount of hypers, and you are going to route the hypers to be used in the sections which give the most score, which is usually boss fights, because bosses have a lot of HP that you can milk PIV on, a lot of bullets to cancel, of course, and most of the depth comes is for the boss fights.
Now,
and there are other things that we can say, but I guess we can leave them for later because, yeah, as I said earlier, normally you would bomb the nons and go above Eika with the hotter, but Yonkichi isn't doing it here. Just focusing on shooting down.
Yeah. Eika's nons fire out too quickly, and the order spin speed is not nearly fast enough to be able to cover all of the spawn bullets comfortably. You are at risk of getting gibbed by a bullet if you try it.
Yeah, the only way to make it consistent is to like counter spin, however that like you cannot control your movement and you might run into tokens, which is super bad. You do not want to consume tokens most of the time. Not on Eika, definitely. At least at this point of the fight.
So, 2 things. During a hyper, if you pick up a token, no matter what kind of token it is, you'll extend your hyper gauge slightly. The first time will be a okay boost, the second time onwards will be lower and lower to the point where it's negligible, so...
Yeah, every time it decreases by a third. By the first consumption is like 3 seconds, but by the third it goes below 1.
So
and as you can see, 47k. 47k is very low, like... If you were to try out stage 1, you would get 55k, but Mionkichi does not give a fuck, so this is completely fine.
This early game PIV really doesn't matter. Even though it does affect like more stages worth of items, the bulk of the game is already done in max PIV regardless, so that really doesn't affect that much.
Yeah, like at best you can say that every 1000 PIV loses at least 10 million, which means going behind by 5k will be, for example, 50 million. It's just that that's not a relevant number to like give Mionkichi problems, because here's the thing, this route that Mionkichi used had potential for realistically 12.3. Some of best will be 12.5. So Mionkichi was very safe, he just wanted to, well, relatively safe, he just wanted to make it consistent in the early game.
Green
yes,
item,
star
yes.
item is a 10th of PIV.
Yeah.
Well, green items, yeah.
It's same thing.
Now, important thing to say, as you might know, there are special tokens in this game that are dropped by mid-boss under certain conditions. And as you just saw, normally when you finish an hyper, you release 2 beast tokens. When you end an hyper which used a rare beast token, you release 5 tokens, one of them always being a life piece. So as you can imagine, rare beast tokens are very important. There is a glitch that allows you to duplicate the reward of said rare beast token, which effectively gives you 6 more tokens in total, 2 of them being a life piece.
Yes.
It's very beneficial for the run because it's not only bonus hypers from the tokens, it's also bonus lives, which in turn will give you even more hypers, because when you suicide you drop 2 static otters, and those are often used to get a bonus hyper.
If you were watching earlier, you may have noticed that they picked up 5 item tokens very quickly after the mid-boss alongside the cow token, which was the rare beast token. Now, this actually does the glitch because when the game spawns those extra tokens, it decides what it wants to spawn via an item table that is decided by what you have in your hyper slot currently, or what you had in your item slot previously. But because there is a delay between the extra beast appeared text showing up and the actual token spawning, if you collect 5 tokens during this period, and if it contains an extra beast token, the rare beast token, the table will get overridden with the reward value for that rare beast token. So effectively you'll be able to double those rewards, and that gives you a lot of extra tokens to work with, usually for the boss fights, so that you can stay in auto hyper for longer. And that consequently also causes you to duplicate the life piece tokens that spawn from those beast tokens as well. So you can get 2 extra lives just like that.
And, it's important to say that you don't necessarily dupe every token, simply because the game gives you... It doesn't exactly end you with a full life in stock when you end the game. There is 1 bonus life piece, which means that you can only dupe 5 and you will still get the last extend. If you were to dupe the last one, you don't get a bonus life. You get the bonus tokens, but trust me, the place where you have to avoid the dupe, those bonus tokens don't help much. And one tiny thing that I can say about this stage 2 is that it actually released a bonus token, which is not usually guaranteed to happen, but it's a tiny gain. You just consume it here in the final, probably gains like 500k PIV something. You may release it occasionally simply because there is a section where if you shoot fast and kill quickly, you can spawn one more fairy. Yeah. And if you spawn that one fairy, it's gonna drop a bonus point token. We said stage 1 was bad compared to the last world record run. This stage 2 was very good, however. 54k gain of PIV is very high. So far the game was very chill. Stage 3 is where it starts to get more interesting and more route specific. The first half we are just gonna see 2 hypers, and we're gonna enter mid-boss with exactly enough tokens to dupe, so you don't want to consume any tokens here.
I guess now would be a good time to also mention that, strictly speaking, and you might see this near the end of the run, at the end of the run in the last 2 Keiki spells, that if you don't shoot during a hyper, the hyper will actually drain less quickly.
Yeah, Young Kitchen just did it a bit. He's doing it now, you can see. They occasionally don't shoot exactly because of that. It increases the length of the hyper, which is not necessarily always good, because if you shoot you get PIV, but sometimes if there are enough bullets, increasing the length of the hyper is beneficial.
Yeah, but generally speaking, even during boss fights, shooting will give you a lot of your PIV, so it's still...
Yeah, in the early game it's about half of pure PIV gain. In the early game, about half is from just shooting. One detail about this mid-boss Kutaka, you have to be very precise with your kill, because if you are too late, you won't spawn fairies, extra fairies. Even though you get more PIV if you time it down a bit, you won't get those 2 extra fairies, which drop tokens. They are very important, and they can occasionally be missed if you aren't careful.
Notable thing about this dupe that just happened, the reward table for this specific rare beast token only gives item tokens, so Miyonkichi will have to convert these rare item tokens into the normal animal tokens by collecting the hypers and then letting them run out.
Yeah, sometimes you will see players just, as Crystal say, they will intentionally just hyper sections using just fish tokens, which are tokens that aren't otter, seagulls and wolves. If you do that, you can just cycle, remove them from the screen, get some PIV from shooting, and have more beasts, effectively. Now here we're gonna see a bomb after the hyper hands, just so you can kill as many fairies and spawn more tokens. You want to kill, ideally, 5 fairies at least. See, move away from bosses. I'm reading chat, sorry. Oh yeah, this is very important. Hyper decrease is not limited to shooting, it's also when you touch the boss.
Yes.
This can be very important. Now this is a boss fight where we are going to see some token consumption, simply because the tokens are more than we need to hyper, so consuming them is simply ideal. Gives you some room to breathe and actually not be forced into a terrible position when you are cancelling, because here is the thing about Wubao. Whenever you are cancelling, if you are aggressive, you get the safest cancel because you are cancelling all of the bullets. Of course, there is no risk of dying. However, if you do fail the aggressive movement, you are basically at a super high risk of getting sniped. Here is the problem, as long as you move well, you are not gonna be fucked by accidental snipes, but token movement will basically force you into not ideal movements. So you have to kind of, at least at this level of play, you have to juggle around aggressive cancels and suddenly have to play safe because of tokens. It can easily end runs, especially on Kutaka.
Yeah, the
Go
ahead.
Here is the difference in stage 3. The big difference is that Yunkichi actually auto-hypers this spell in a very specific manner. Unfortunately, here, if I remember correctly, it wasn't done perfectly. Normally it will get a lot of PAV.
Oh, yeah, he's not letting the bullets spawn at the bottom.
Exactly, normally you will let them spawn, but it's not often easy. Because of that, I believe that this Kutaka execution was actually worse than Borealis' run. However, normally it will be better, simply because of how well optimized it's the auto hyper on second spell. Myonkishi is very good at doing it normally.
Alright, he managed to hold on to that fish token for just long enough to be able to collect it in time before it went off screen. But yeah,
just so people know, token timers in this game are very long. Unlike UFO, it's 2 minutes and 10 seconds. After that amount of time, they turn gray, and after like 15 seconds about, they will start destoning. You have to be careful about that occasionally.
But another big difference from go ahead.
Going for the kill.
Yeah.
For the items, not always done. Sometimes people even bomb, but in this case you want specifically 2 bombs and 2 pieces entering stage 4. Very important.
Right.
For the item collection route.
Before the stage section really begins, just a quick mention that the token movement in this game is also different from UFO because the tokens bounce off of the side of the screen at a random angle. So there is not much that you can...
You see, actually, it's occasionally random, but most of the times it's very consistent. The biggest problem is the spawn angle of the tokens.
Yeah.
That is completely random. Occasionally they do like completely get a random angle or even completely change directions, like they go backwards.
Yeah.
It is though very rare and doesn't usually cause problems, but it's funky.
It can sometimes happen, but yeah, considering there's already so much like boss movement RNG anyway, you're basically doing a lot of routing on the fly for this game to make sure that you balance, like Rebot explained earlier, like a bunch of how aggressive your cancelling is to make, but also making sure you don't collect too many tokens by accident.
Yeah, usually ideally the tokens that you collect, like if it's a beast or if it's a fish, it's always the same, but it's usually different tokens. Like the specific token is different because of course you cannot perfectly predict tokens unless you are a fucking god, and the skill ceiling for this game is potentially infinite, assuming you can track every single token. And honestly, strategies recently in this game are starting to be like, you have to play more and more and more around tracking more tokens. It's superhuman play, man. Myunkichi does it very well.
But yeah, we're going.
So
We are coming up on the mid boss soon.
something different that Mionkichi does here is that normally Borealis what used to do, he used to suicide. They used to suicide on the pink wisp section, which was the one before this, and then bomb this one. However, here Mionkichi is carrying the bomb into the red wisps and entering Yachi with 0 bombs, haven't yet suicided. They are going to suicide on the mid boss itself.
And it's important to suicide because the rare token is obtained by grazing enough right before killing Yachi.
Yeah, it makes it way easier. You can do it without the suicide. However, it's way easier to do it with the suicide. However, this strategy does lose a bit of PIV, but you can see just suicide, graze a bit, very simple. Now here, this is where the run starts getting a bit very different from Borealis, starting from Yachi. What we are going to see is a different spell 1 route. Not only movement, but even amount of tokens on screen. It's going to influence all the way into stage 5.
That's a very nice timing, trying to delay the collection of the last token as long as possible, but also to ensure you have as long a time as possible going to the first node, but also wanting to get that dupe.
It can be scary. Notice how Mionkichi has all the tokens synced on screen to be the same, about the same beast. Makes it way easier to get the hype that you need. And now, first difference that you are going to see. Normally players bomb before the spell starts. However, here Mionkichi is gonna wait a bit, because if you were to bomb instantly, you will make the spell invincible, but if you delay it a bit, you will do the damage. So why do we use this bomb? It's because if you, as we said, if you shoot, the hyper length decreases. However, the goal here is for your hyper to last as long as possible. So you want to do all of your damage with the bomb. Their hyper is going to last as long as possible, and you just do those dashes. Very aggressive. The difference here is that Borealis used to save 3 tokens on screen, however here Mionkichi is only saving 1. This allows Mionkichi to go super all out with cancelled, get way more PIV on this. And however this is gonna... unfortunately this, if I remember correctly, was 87k. Very bad for Mionkichi standards. The standard is like 95k. Borealis got 80k. Just so you understand the difference in route, it's a very big deal.
Yeah.
However, it's not a full gain because there's going to be losses later down, but it's overall easier to do this thing, in my opinion, at least. We see early bombs because when you early bomb like that, you can damage the spell card and you also save the score bonus. Remember, you can't instantly bomb when the spell starts, otherwise they
Yes, the bomb immunity.
We saw a lot of suicides happening during Yachi, simply because, as I told you, the suicide you spawn static opters. When you do that, you get more hypers, basically. Like that. Very easy to hyper with static opters, very comfy. They usually are routed to make things very consistent. Normally, as I said earlier, you would have 2 more tokens. So here Mionkichi is entering with 2. This means 3 things. Number 1, this spell uses 2 hypers. Normally it will be 5 and 5 octers. However, here it's going to be 4 and 5 octers. That's the first loss. Normally you would have another token. You can consume that token to increase the length. And this spell spawns so many bullets that getting the consumption on average gives you score. Also missed the POC. That's another loss, and to end it, Mionkichi is going to enter stage 5 with just 2 tokens. Normally Borealis entered with 3, and that is going to force an hyper skip. All in all, those are all the losses that basically neutralize Decane on Turtle Shell Hell. So it can be a route preference usually, but I really do like the going all out on first spell
Tortoiseshell.
strategy.
Yeah.
RB, thank RB for listing all the specific details in the chat. Thanks, RB.
But yeah, the earlier spell there, Dragon Crest Bullets, is a spell that notably actually hits the bullet cap just normally near the end of the pattern, so it is definitely a very lucrative one to score. So it is a very significant loss by going for that route, but Tortoiseshell is another very, very lucrative pattern.
They're about the same level of lucracy, like 90k, around that level. It's just that Turtle Shell Hell is kind of doing that route is very comfy, honestly. The one where you just avoid tokens, because trust me, avoiding tokens is fucking annoying.
When you're doing that much dashes, yeah.
And Turtle Shell Hell is more subjected to RNG, and that strategy can remove a lot of the RNG in my opinion, and makes score gain more consistent, while La Final has a very consistent score, more consistent at least score gain. The funny say spot, way larger than it looks like. So this is where Borealis actually got the second hyper in his world record run. However, here Mionkishi will skip it because there simply aren't enough tokens to do it.
And we need to preserve enough tokens on screen because this mid-boss, the next rare token actually spawns by having 4 or more tokens flying around the screen at the time of its defeat. So these 4 tokens, not a single one can be collected.
You bomb this because you want to speed kill, because the faster you kill, the longer the next section will last, and guess what this section is? The fucking Green Kunai string. This is gonna be big game.
It's a lot of bullets.
Consuming the Aniwa completely like removes it from existence, so that's gonna kill your run if you do that. You have to be very careful about that Aniwa. Time the rest streams to just squeeze in and dodge.
Hey, the Aniwa.
You read very far ahead, like you read the Aniwa movement like 10 seconds ahead. If you don't want to run into it. Funny say spot, this gains 30 million. Borealis didn't do it in his run if I remember correctly.
And
here, one last bomb is used for QC and to safely kill all the fairies.
If you're wondering why there's still so much score gain during these hypers, even though the PIV is already max, it's like said earlier, every bullet cancelled still gives 1/10 of the PIV of score, which is 15,000.
Yeah. This is where the score starts exploding, because at PIV max there are so many bullets, it's just very... Especially in stage 6, so you're gonna see a certain level of score gain in Mayumi. Cake is going to completely blow the score out of the water. Tiny score loss that I can mention is that normally you would want 5 otters for the first hyper here. However, Mionkishi accidentally collected 1 beast token in the section earlier. And if you do that, you can steal 5 otter hyper. However, you cannot guarantee 4 otters here, which is the goal. So Mionkishi would have to play safe.
And
this is where the run gets even different with the route. You see that token flying on screen. Normally, collecting that token will lose you an entire hyper. However, Mionkichi does not give a fuck, because the route now is completely different, entering the later stages of Mayumi. We're actually going to see a suicide at the end of the Mayumi fight. This will effectively moves that a suicide that happens in stage 6 is moved to the end of the Mayumi fight. It makes stage 6 harder, but it gains on stage 5. A route discovered by Mionkichi. You simply get more bombs and use them on Mayumi spells, because Mayumi spells have Aniwas that you can bomb and kill for items. Suicide for bonus hyper.
using those iframes to circle, and then...
Yeah. And also, if you wanna try hard, you can dash very high up on this non-spell, but it's pretty scary. But Mionkichi honestly did fine here. He cancel. Now here you normally bomb once, and just because this spell doesn't really have any bullets to milk with hyper, so you just skip it, you get some items from the animal and that's it. Go for the kill and save the tokens for later basically. This non-spell is fucked. I'm tired for very little score gain and it's like the hardest non-spell by far, so players usually half-ass this non-spell.
I guess worth noting now, every power item is now worth the same as a point item at max power. So dying does actually cause you to lose 43 point items.
Yeah, okay, I forgot about that. I always forgot about that. Yeah, it's important.
Yeah. But the suicides are absolutely still worth it. The cancels are worth so much more than otherwise. But if you die outside of a suicide, well, that's a dead run.
So now, this bomb doesn't happen because this is where the route starts changing. This is where the new bombs come in. You normally don't bomb this a second time, but you do it here. Get bonus items. Go for the kill. Oh! Now, collect that last otter, bomb again. As soon as the new animals start spawning there. Ideally, you want to deal as little damage to my unit as possible while doing this.
Is this the glitch?
So, again. Now bomb again here. And now Myonkichi is going to go for a 4 Otter Hyper, and the goal here will be enter stage 6 with 4 tokens. First mistake, second mistake, and this is a big deal.
Oh.
Myonkichi still gets the last bomb that he wanted to, so the bomb route is okay. There is a huge problem though. Entering stage 6 with 1 token instead of 4.
Oh.
It's very bad.
Well,
we are not only talking about score loss, we are talking about hard execution now. It's way harder to play stage 6 with 3 last tokens. So, score loss wise, this will be like close to 200 million, I think. Not because of the break itself on stage 5, but because it's going to force a hyper skip on Keiki. We're going to see where it happens. It's very sad. Would have gotten like a run of about... Ah, I can't say that actually.
not yet.
Say that.
But yeah. Alright, we're going to see a hyper use now, even though it's not exactly the most lucrative section, because the following, the final rare token is spawned by cancelling a hyper right before you shoot it down. It's about half a second of window, but you do have to actively use press X to sacrifice the hyper or to run into a bullet here. So there we go.
Horse token. Suicide into bomb.
He actually collected that full power item to get all of that power back, and then bombed, which will give you a little more score items, just a couple more.
It's a neat trick, yeah, very nice. Not the last time we will see it this round.
We'll see it after one of the spells as well.
This is just bomb spamming for killing wisps
yeah.
and item collection, yeah. What makes this route harder bomb-wise is just that you are, as you can see, you are entering Keiki with 0 bombs and 2 pieces. Normally you would have like 2 more bombs. Not only that, you will have more tokens here to work with. And it's not only because Myonkichi entered stage 6 with less tokens, it's just that even entering with 4 tokens instead of having 2 but suiciding on the stage, it's harder execution in general. And also here again, Myonkichi sync the tokens, so every token on screen is Otter, makes
Very
for
nice.
a comfy dupe. Syncing is impossible. And this non-spell is just hypering it 3 times, because it's long enough to do that.
Getting a 3.
Ideal otters in the hyper would be like 3-4-3 for the 3 hypers. You get 3 otters, 4 otters, and 3 otters. It's the perfect length.
Alright, Sky Creature.
Right. So Mionkichi normally started the spell without a bomb. Occasionally you might see players bomb if they cannot get a 5 otter in time. That way you can actually get an ideal score gain. However, as I told you earlier, normally you'll double hyper this, but force the skip because there simply aren't enough tokens. And that lost about 200 million, it's very bad. But from now on the run is like nothing happened, just a score loss. The route is now safe. Bomb to safely collect tokens.
And
Going
then
for a 4 otter. This is the perfect position that you want to be in, having 0 tokens on screen. It's very nice, so you're gonna enter spell 2 with 2 tokens on screen when the hyper releases, like that. You're gonna see a death here, however it's irrelevant because you want to suicide on turn on anyways, and that's because you want static tokens entering the linear creature. That's because you want to make linear creature extremely consistent. Static otters may help with making it consistent, because it's the highest score gain in the run, and it helps with making it consistent.
yeah, if you didn't do this, then you'll be relying on basically the random tokens that spawn after a hyper, so...
Yeah, not necessarily, but you are very likely to have to rely on that. You can, there is a route that doesn't have to rely on that, but it's much harder. Again,
Alright.
we saw the late bomb. Normally you would see an early bomb, but again, this is just for safety. This actually loses a bit of score, but it's safety because you don't have to shoot Keiki down. Trust me, having to shoot Keiki makes this harder.
Ah my god, what the fuck?
Oh, breaking the hyper kills the run, by the way, good luck.
This is the biggest score gain in the game by far, so... You can't afford a mistake here, not on this pace.
The only way to not kill your run is to like be 800 million ahead of your pace. Extremely unlikely unless you are...
Oh my god, ah!
Nice. So I believe the first hyper was a 5 otter perhaps? RB? Was it a 5 otter? Anyways, this is long enough so... That's... Ooh, very close cancel.
Ooh.
5, okay, perfect. Some bonus cancels going there. Now, Borealis in this world record run had a very unfortunate break on second non-spell, which forced them to skip the second hyper that is going to happen here. However, Mionkichi did not fail the route this time, which means we are going to see the 2 hyper fourth non-spell.
And this is not a non-spell that is viable to score without a bomb, for hopefully obvious reasons.
If you're a beast, you can do it. It's very consistent, but it's kind of possible. RB did it.
Jeez.
I kind of did it. It's not consistent at all, though. Gambler.
Gambler. Alright,
Yeah,
so...
It's like 6 pixels of error margin. Good fucking luck.
So yeah, we're gonna use a bomb here to just kill off these Haniwa, get extra items as well, but...
No, Mionkichi's late. Hello. Hi, Mionkichi-san. We have the man himself in chat.
That's unfortunate, but you can watch the run, you can watch this entire stream again once the stream is over.
Very specific damage management here, just so that you can leave Keiki with about that amount of HP and get the kill with all the bullets on screen. Very nice.
Alright.
And the very last tiny detail when it comes to improvements about this run is that this spell has a slightly better cancel, which is going to look a bit scary perhaps. So we are going to see.
Well, doing...
And well, also...
No, just doing the... Actually no, didn't Borealis do a more risky route for this?
Ah, you're gonna see it now. You don't do it on the first
Ah.
record, you do it on the second. Because you cannot, you do it on the second simply because you can see 5 otter, the first one is 3. It's
Yeah.
not long enough.
So yeah, you just have to know how this pattern spawns the bullets to
Yeah,
dodge
red
these
is
guys.
static, you fully cancel blue so you can memorize it. So normally Borealis canceled this pattern at 2 seconds. Instead Yonkish is going to do this. Getting the cancel at 0, you need to cancel at like 0.40 seconds left. If you do that, there is the very last blue wave that spawns for like 6 million, 8 million, how much was it? Yonkichi all out for 8 million. It's very risky. If you were to miss that cancel, it's
bad, very
big
bad.
loss. It's a pretty big loss. I
You
think
lose all the point
it could be
items
like
from
40 million.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck! You also lose the point items. Correct.
But yeah, the reason why that hyper was cancelled at the end of the spell was because obviously these Tidal 2 spells also just spawn tons and tons of tokens anyway, so at this point, for Geometric Creature, it's a very comfortable just sit there and circle, shoot.
Yeah, the only thing that you want to avoid is not getting hit, because if you manually cancel, you actually turn bullets into green items, but if you get hit, you do not turn bullets into green items. So your breaks have to be intentional, and that's what makes the final spells much harder than what it looks like. You don't just ram into bullets and be like, easy score game. No, you have to time your breaks. And if you want to maximize the gain on Keki's final, it's the hardest pattern in the game. It's harder than linear, it's harder than anything. So let's see how well Mionkish does on it. Entering with 12 million, let's see how much they are gonna get.
Abi did
Fucking impossible spell, I tell you.
Abi did a pretty insane strat for this on Yumiya's stream earlier, but
And no RB, no, we do not talk about that route. Getting a good enough score on this is easy, but optimizing is not easy. The problem is that Mionkichi wasn't playing with... they were playing with the counter stop on. They didn't know how much score they had here.
oh yeah.
So... yeah, they had to go all out. They didn't know if they were close or not, so... this is going to be very all out. And also something that RB mentioned is that ideally you want to actually sync the colored waves into about the same cycle. If you do that, you get higher cancels, and that's another whole problem about this spell if you want to optimize this shit. You can also move up right after a cancel to cancel with otters. You can cancel super high up. You can do tons of nightmarish things.
And not to mention, if you break the hyper and then you don't collect the hyper in time and then you get hit by a bullet, yeah, it's over.
And not to mention that if you get hit and you break the hyper manually at the same time, you die. Game over. Frame perfect. You know Kana, the frame perfect guy? That spell skips USD all the time. Of course they fucking frame perfect died on this. It's yeah, as RB says, breaking by getting it is like 20 million. World record exceeded, and
12?
that's
Wait, no clear bonus.
60 plus 8, 64.
12.
This bonus here is plus 8.
12.064, which once again, this is the new world record, overall world record for this game as well.
It's a big fucking deal.
Where is the sound volume?
The human limit for this game for now is probably like 12.3, I guess. 12.4 maybe. Mionkichi very far into the future has said that they would like 12.5, but that's mind breaking. I cannot imagine that happening ever.
Well, categories get optimized more and more over time. This is I mean, this is a big deal. In the past, people actually did doubt whether or not people would score more than beyond the counter stop of this game on its first release, because the counter stop of this game was achieved fairly quickly, and it was the first Touhou game to be counter stopped. But
So people thought that people would stop caring after the counter stop.
yeah, but I'm glad to see that clearly
Unfortunately,
hasn't happened.
Wabok is goated. So people didn't care and they kept scoring because game is great.
And not to
True
mention,
Giga Chads.
it's not just this category either. Every single shot type has received significant scoring attention from various players. Even the non-auto ones.
We didn't mention this. Mionkichi grinded every single Wubao world record, every single category. They do have every single world record, so yeah, Mionkichi
Yeah.
basically completely revolutionized the Wubao in the past year. I think they took like a year to, no, maybe not a year, a bit less, I believe. But yeah, Mionkichi completely took over this game, fucking Monopoly.
Kikeju Zenichi. Just insane. But yeah, this is Roblox scoring. It's a surprisingly very intricate game. Despite what on surface level seems like a heavy amount of RNG and obviously the meme of counter stop and stuff. There's a lot to it, and it can be a very entertaining run as well.
You just learn to embrace and control the RNG. It's a very unique feeling that I feel you do not get in any other game. It's like you can, in USD, you like cope with RNG. Okay, you do that in Wubok too, but in Wubok you can like control it very well. It's very fun. It's very funny. But yeah, this was the world record.
UM scoring, unfortunately, much less active than this one. Has some cool routes, but it's really not as involved as this one.
I think UM would like. I think UM would actually benefit from like a set rules of like item. Shop management. No, not management is not the correct word.
Shop manipulation.
Yes, manipulation. Sorry, I think that like if player were to like get set rules and play with those rules, even at high level, like official competitions, I believe you can make the game way more consistent with that, and you can like work with it very well.
Yeah, but the interest
That's
in
my
the
opinion,
game
at
is
least.
honestly kind of dead at this point. So yeah,
Sad because I believe there could be interest.
it could be, and there's still one guy pushing for it, I think, but it's at least we get to see Bulk actually like getting the attention that honestly I think it deserves. It's a very very underrated game. For
Guys, let's all hope for a good game for
for
2019 to be a good
2019, yeah.
game. Coming in
Oh,
like a few months now, I believe. Few months.
eh,
We're gonna see
not
2019.
guaranteed per se, but hopefully, yeah. Keiki, non for the only thing I can't help.
Imagine helping with non-4.
Well then, I think that's pretty much all there is for today's stream. Thank you for coming on Rebot. You've been fantastic.
Thank you.
Nightbots just posted a Discord link to our Discord server in the chat. That is the Touhou Replay Showcase community Discord, Touhou Replay community. Very active server, a lot of players in there, a lot of gameplay discussion for Touhou and other shmups alike. And there are frequent Touhou Replay Showcase updates in there as well. We should be posting every week the runs and pinging a certain role regarding when the stream starts. So if you'd like to have that happen for you, then join the server and get the stream ping role. Other than that, if you have any inquiries or if you would like to amend your submissions in any way after you have submitted them through the Google form, there is a specific channel to request any of that. And through that channel, you can also request for your run to be shown on either a Saturday or a Sunday, or for your run to be delayed or replaced, anything really. So yeah, that is our Discord server. Join that if you haven't already. Anything else?
Hamburger.
Hamburger. Well then, thank you for watching today's
Thanks for
TRS.
watching.
We will be back next week, as usual. Our queue. I mean, we're approaching the end of the month already, and we still have a couple runs to go through, but we're catching up. Again, sorry I took a break last week. My throat really wasn't feeling so great, but yeah, I'm still doing this. Don't worry. And we'll be back with more TRS. We'll be back with more Touhou Replay Showcase. See you next time.
Bye bye.